All right, so Cohen here with Lenny Nesmith, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about how do you find something that fuels your passion and also allows you to kind of give back and serve other people so that they benefit. So you have a company that you started not too long ago, and I think with this company, you do something that's super special, man. So me, you, and your wife were in the car, and I was actually, I see what you're doing online. I see your movement. I see how you're impacting children. I see how through the children you're impacting adults, right? And I want to talk about what it is that you're doing. I want to talk about the company. I want to talk about how you came up with the idea, and I want to talk about, is it working for you? And how does other people come in and find their passion that also can impact other people in a positive way. So tell us about the company.
Cool. It's a Kids Real Estate and Financial Literacy Academy.
Okay.
And it's a 4-pillar program.
Yep.
And we focus on youth between grades 4th through 12th. And we partner up with school districts. We partner up with all different types of youth organizations where we do two things. We either do large assemblies or we do workshops. And just to cover real quick the 4-pillar program, pillar 1 is all about mindset and confidence building. Because as regardless to what you want to do, you want to be a real estate investor, a doctor, an entrepreneur, hey, you want to open up a donut shop.
Yep.
You have to have the right mindset, but more importantly, you have to do things and know to do things to build your own confidence. So that's what we teach in that pillar. Pillar 2 is a favorite of yours, is entrepreneurship, right? We teach everything about it, what entrepreneurship is, the 2 types of businesses out there, to always look to solve a problem, and then we do a lot of role playing as well. So I provide the youth with scripts. We have fake money. Some kids are owners, employees, customers, and we do a lot of role playing so that they can physically see, how a business works.
What this looks like, hands-on.
Right. But what in that pillar really excites me is after we role play, I stop teaching.
Okay.
And I start asking questions just about what happened, what occurred, how did it make you feel? And real quick, so it's this one kid, I would never forget, he was an employee, and I asked him, I said, hey, you went to go collect the money, you did the job, collect the money from the customer, and obviously you turned the money into the owner. And the owner paid you, your part. Right. And this kid jumped up and said, I feel robbed, right? Because he turned in a large amount of money into the owner and got a small return for it. And truth be told, I wanted to laugh because it was really that funny. But this other kid who just so happened was an owner, and I think his parents were entrepreneurs, he stood up just out the blue and said, well, all this money is not mine. I have to house the equipment, I have to pay for this, pay for that. And what it was doing was it was allowing the youth to start to really think about how this business really works.
Right.
By them just doing a simple exercise of role playing with the proper scripts, and my guidance, and they're able to get it. Now, at the end of that pillar, I make it very clear to them that there's nothing wrong with being an employee, and there's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur. My whole objective is 2 things. 1, to let you know that you have choice. To be either or both, right? And then my other thing is for them to understand just how business works. This is how business works, and that pillar is usually the most exciting pillar for the youth. It's the most fun. I enjoy it, and by opening their minds up to going out to look for problems.
Right.
And we had kids that opened up. One kid came back in and he said, hey, there's a lot of issues with where I live and people got weeds in their grass.
They have weeds.
So he's going knocking on doors, right? Another kid came in, he went out and purchased a kit from out of Walmart, purchased some shirts, used his birthday money, and his brother helped him create a sign off of cardboard that they had laying around the house. And I'm saying these things because it's important. And they put that sign right outside. He came in with $300 that week that he made.
Well, this was the kid with the tie-dye t-shirt.
Yes,
right?
the tie-dye t-shirts.
I saw that.
You know, so and there another kid, him and another kid, they created a comic book where the one kid, his parents kind of got some money, so he was the financing end of the stick, and the other kid was the creative. You know, and I really enjoyed that because they understood roles and partnerships of who was bringing what to the table. You know what I mean? And you know, and it's just, I mean, I can go on and on with those stories. So that pillar is a very, very good pillar. You know, to introduce them to entrepreneurship and to always, everywhere they go, regardless if they on a football field, soccer field, in school, at home, walking the streets, they can look and see if there's a problem that need to be solved, and they can build a business behind it. You know,
and now they have a better understanding of how things work, right? How they work. So the first pillar is first instilling the belief in it.
Correct.
Right. It's the mindset, because with anything, right, you have to actually believe that you can do it. It could be putting on these shoes in the morning. You have to believe that you can actually do it. Now, there's not thought that goes into that, because initially, yes, there is thought that goes into it. First time you learn how to start putting on your socks and your shoes and tying your shoes, there's a lot of thought that goes into that.
Yes, it is.
Right? There's a lot of concentration, right? But then, so you have to believe, even something as simple as that. Sending someone up to the moon, you have to believe, right? There's that confidence that goes into that. So and I think that's brilliant that you're first putting that part into it, and then secondly, getting them to understand like more of the behind the scenes, what actually takes place if you're a homeowner, if you're a business owner, if you're the employee, right? And what are the different allocations where, as far as where the money's going.
Correct.
So now, what's the third pillar?
The third pillar is the financial literacy piece.
Okay.
Now, I have a full deck there. You know, obviously there's a lot of things to cover. However, what I like to do is start off with focusing on credit.
Okay.
Because outside of me being a real estate investor myself, I have noticed that and I hate to use the word easy, right? But when your credit is good, life is a little more easier for you versus when your credit's not.
Just like when your money's good.
Yeah, just like when your money's good.
Just keeping it real, right?
Yeah, just keeping it real, you know. And so I teach them what credit is, what it's about, how to use it, the difference between good debt versus bad debt.
Okay.
You know, obviously I mentioned earlier, I'm a real estate investor, I'm good. I might snack on some of these french fries.
These things are hot as hell.
He's going through it right now. Take a look at him, right? But we teach them the difference between good debt versus bad debt. We also teach, I teach them how to leverage the credit.
Okay.
And we teach them in that pillar, assets versus liabilities, you know, in a manner of physical assets as well as in a manner of where to put their dollar.
Right.
You know, so that makes up that pillar. And then the fourth pillar is the real estate investing piece, where we teach the 4 ways to make money, right, in real estate. We teach, obviously, terminology, and we analyze deals. And what I like to do is I like to pick deals that's over $500,000.
Okay.
Because I want to normalize big numbers when it comes to the youth.
Smart.
And I want them to know that, you know, even if you don't have the money, I want them to have the skill to be able to do this, because there's other people out there that do have the money that you can partner with, because they don't have the skill that you have.
Or the time, maybe.
Or the time, right? You know, and so just because this deal is 1.7 or 1.2, you know, you're like, oh my God, how can I have this down payment? You know, but that's not what you should be thinking about. If the deal is great and it can return, and you know, in return, then you know that, hey, we got a great deal here. You can go out and find the money. So I try to always have analyze deals. Now, one important thing I do want to mention is, obviously, I teach kids in elementary, I teach kids in middle, I teach kids in high school.
Okay.
The older the kids are, the more in depth I go when it comes to the real estate investing. You know, obviously when they're in high school, 11th and 12th graders, you know, I'm giving them actionable items that they can go out and do today. They can go out and do tomorrow. You know, one of the beauties I always enjoy teaching is house hacking, You know, so I love teaching, you know, the 11th and 12th graders that, because that's something that actually can happen. Everybody's not going to go to college immediately, right? And then some people
Or at all.
And some people might go to college, but they might want to sit there and start their investment journey at that time. You know, and I could tell you a little story about that, why I said that, because for me, I purchased my first house when I was 19.
Right.
But I had no one that taught me about real estate. But I was house hacking and didn't even know it.
That whole hacking term wasn't even being used.
No, but for me, if I had a me that would have taught me back when I was in high school, then my real estate journey would have started 13 years before it started. Because I purchased a house when I was 19. Well, I didn't really become a real estate investor until I was in my 30s. So I lost all the 20 years due to not being educated, due to not having a mentor, due to not anyone exposing me to what can be.
What's possible.
So just imagine, 13 years is a long time. My son's only 12.
Yep.
So, you know, I could have had so much more, been in so much, you know, debt. I mean, not debt, but had, you know, built my portfolio in 13 years sooner, you know. And if I had a me that was in and out of these schools, in and out of these youth organizations, opening my mind up to things that I just wasn't truly aware of.
Just making you aware, like making it aware to them that there's these possibilities.
Absolutely. You know, also in that pillar, firm believer on designing your life, right? And to do that, you have to be able to have goals, period. So we teach the kids how to write SMART goals. We also create vision boards with the youth as well, because, you know, we all know you got to see it, and you got to visualize every day. I know one of the things you have on your computer screen, right? You know, you open up your computer screen and you got things on your computer screen right there that is in your face all the time, right? It's something about just that connection, just as reminders. And so we do that, and then we graduate the kids with certificates of completion, so they know that they completed something. You know, so that's really the 4-pillar program. You know, however, we more a la carte. And what I mean by that is, you know, the way we wrote the program is that you don't need pillar 1 to take pillar 2. You don't need pillar 2 to take pillar 3. You know, and so, you know, when I work with the schools and I work with the youth organizations, you know, sometimes they just want pillar 2 and pillar 3. You know, sometimes they just want pillar 4. You know, sometimes they just want pillar 1, or they want all of them. You know, because one of the things I've learned with working with youth organizations and schools is obviously they have a structured time. So, and that's another thing too I want to mention is we cater to that time. So there's some schools where I'm there for workshops that's 2 hours, and then there's some schools where we might do 10 workshops and they only give me 40 minutes per. So I come in there every week. You know what I mean? Doing that. So I just want everybody where we cater to, you know, the school, we cater to the youth organization due to the time that they may have. I mean, right now I'm in talks of doing a whole entire week of financial literacy for this school camp that they do every year. So this upcoming summer, we in talks of doing that. You know what I mean? So, and when it comes to the financial literacy piece, like I said, I got a full deck. I mean, you know, I could probably teach 3 months, 4 months.
And you're good to go.
and good to go. So we structure it out to ensure that the youth gets what's important. Also, every school sometimes have different initiatives, you know, where they might have issues where they struggle in math. So I cater the financial literacy piece to support that. So now by them taking these workshops, they're able to now take what we've learned here and apply it to math areas that's going to help them with those issues as well. So
I want to kind of pivot a little bit, because to the person, this individual that's watching this right now, they're listening to you, and as I'm listening to you, it seems like this is something that you are the master at. You've been doing forever. You're dominant in your space. And this person that's watching this, they want to find something that they're passionate about, that they can go in and they can, you know, not only have fun and get fulfillment and enjoy doing, but also be able to serve other people, and also make some money, right? We talk about money and how important it is. You haven't been doing this that long.
No.
Right?
No.
So, what was your background before doing this, right? Before doing this, you worked at one company for almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
So, I wanted to kind of point that out because sometimes we'll see someone like a Lenny the boss and we're like, okay, well, Lenny can do it because he's been doing it forever. I can't do it because I don't have the skill set, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the experience, right? You jumped into this bad boy and then you started to develop this. So, how long have you been doing this now?
So, I'm grateful, right? Where we've been open for over a year now. We service over 1,700 youth so far in 1 year. The 1,723 to be exact, right?
1,700. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 1 year. So when I was taking a look at those numbers, I almost brought a tear to my eye because,
As you should.
you know, it was pretty interesting. Truth be told, I didn't track it until I was putting together a presentation for another organization, and I went back, and said, okay, cool, how many students we did here and there, and I was shocked and surprised, myself, but grateful that we was able to impact so many lives. But when it comes to the passion, you mentioned, for over 2 decades, I worked at an organization that 100% had nothing to do with youth. Okay, so I worked at the medical billing company. I was the vice president there of operations. I had a staff of over 200 people. We was responsible for over $1 billion annually. We had to collect over 300 million, annually for our clients. So it was a big time role. Took a lot of my time, and I loved it. Truth be told, I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna tell you, that's the reason why sometimes you gotta jump in, because I learned something there that is why I'm doing something today. So what I learned there is when I started to climb the corporate ladder and putting together, policies and procedures, putting together departments, hierarchy, and management. One of the things I truly enjoyed the most was seeing someone on the lower pole get hired. And at the time, they may be living with their parents.
Right.
Maybe they have a car that barely gets them to work, right? And they park real far back in the parking lot because they don't want nobody to see their vehicle. Right. But then we provide them with that opportunity, the training, the skills, and they take advantage of the opportunity, and they start to sit here and increase their pay, and they go from that car that they used to park in the back, and they go buy a newer car, and when they ride past you, they beep their horn because now they want you to check them out. And then they go from living in their parents' home to moving to their own first apartment, or buying their first house, or putting their kids through college, whatever it was for those individuals. I felt the need that I had to do my job very well so I can continue to make sure that those individuals experience them, and that became fulfilling to me. Obviously I was making pretty good money, but it became fulfilling to say, you know what, I have to come in here, I have to make sure that I'm on point, to make sure my manager is on point, so those individuals who's just coming in and looking to make a career, that they're able to do so. And I started to become fulfilled with that more than the money at the job. And as that went on, and it kind of translated over to what I'm doing today, it fulfills me when a student comes up to me the following week and say, they call me Coach Lenny, Coach Lenny, you told me to buy low and sell high, and this is what I did, and you told me to use my resources that I have around the house, and we just took a cardboard box. You told me to ask for help, so I asked for my brother, and these are the things that I'm like, oh my God,
And they're actually taking this and running with it and actually putting it into place.
We're talking about 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. Listen, you teach a lot of people. I mean, how many people have you taught over your career?
Hundreds of thousands, I would say,
and you
probably
would say
$1 million plus,
99% of them are adults. And the biggest issue you have is probably them not taking action, right? And so for me to see a 12-year-old who got schooled, might play some type of sport, obviously they can't just make their own darn decisions because of their age, right? To see them take what I'm teaching them and go back and take action to implement it, I'm still
Yeah,
every single time I see it and hear it, it's a great feeling, man.
That has to be a really good feeling. It's got to be a really cool feeling. It's got to be refreshing. You know, how do you so? Oftentimes, as adults, right? We talk about kids being able to not like kids don't see their limits. They can hear you give them instructions. They can hear you talk about what's possible when they see it possible. For some reason, not all adults, right? Because obviously you're not one of these. But some adults, we start to see just the limitations. We see the obstacles, right? We see why it can't happen.
Yeah.
How does someone get past that? How does someone say, look, I've got this vision, this is the thing that I want to do, and then go out and actually do it? Because truth be told, we're living in the best time to be able to do almost anything that you want to do ever. There's more financial resources.
Yes.
There's more connections now, right? Because of digital and virtual resources. There's more information than ever, to the point where we can actually have information overload and people get paralyzed.
Yes.
Right? So the top 3 things that used to prevent people from really being able to do big things, network, right?
Yep.
The access to the information.
Yes.
And finances.
And finances. Yep.
Have now been kind of eliminated because it's cheaper to do things, right? And you can still get the money, as Lenny just talked about. You might have the skill set, you might have the time, and there's people that have the money that don't have the skill set, that don't have the time. So how, even with all of these obstacles removed, do we still have this mindset of we can't do it? Lenny can do it, Ty can do it, I can't do it for whatever reason is coming to this individual that's watching right now.
Yep. So I had spoke to about 35 reentry young adults, I'm gonna call them. So reentry young adults are individuals that was incarcerated at a time, and they're going through this program. So these young adults, they were between the age group of 23 through 28.
Okay.
So they served some type of time in
Right.
jail, and it was 35 of them. And truth be told, is when I came to the room, I thought it was only supposed to be 10. Right?
Okay.
So I'm
you're-
like, okay, so it's 35 of these
Right.
guys out here.
Hardened criminals.
Hard, yeah. They,
Right.
not sure what they actually done, as in to land them in that unfortunate spot, but they did something to break the law.
Right.
Let's just say
Yes.
that, right?
Gotcha.
And one of the big things was just that belief,
Yep.
right? So I tell everybody, obviously, life is the decisions you make today is about the experiences that you already had. Your life today, right, is going to either push you in whatever direction to make whatever decisions that you're going to make.
Right.
So what I like to tell people when I sit back and I think about kind of what happened for me, because I obviously my background. I'm born in North Philly, which is a place of crime, a place of violence, a place of drug dealing. But great people that live there, like my mom. Right?
A place where you literally could have every excuse for not being able to
absolutely.
be who you are right
100%.
now. If you wanted to, it would be acceptable.
100%.
Yep. Okay.
100%.
Yep.
So you have to sit here and say, get clear.
Yeah.
You got to get clear on what you want. So I tell people, sit down with yourself. If you have to wake up 30 minutes before everybody,
Yep.
and I say in the morning time, because at nighttime where our day can be exhausting and draining, and your mind is just wanting to kind of shut down.
Mentally, you're not there.
Mentally, you're not there. So wake up 30 minutes before, spend some time with yourself to get clear. And I say specific, right? We always say be very specific on what you want to do. That's the first thing, right? You got to know what you want to do. The second thing is that you got to start putting yourself in those rooms and putting yourself around other individuals that is doing it. Now, that can be watching YouTube
Yep.
clips. So this is important that you pick this up because sometimes this is misconstrued where, you see Ty, you see myself, we're flying to these events,
Right.
putting ourselves in these rooms, but you just might not be there yet. So you might have to take advantage of the YouTube Academy, right? Where you go to YouTube and you follow the individuals that are doing the things that you want to do. Now, I also suggest that you go on something called eventbrite.com. And you look up whatever that category is, and I'm sure that there are some type of meetups or events that are free, that are local to where you live. Sometimes you might have to drive an hour, sometimes you might have to drive 30 minutes, whatever it is, but it's there. You get in that room of people. And what that does is it starts to shift. And when you start to talk to people, you start to network, because that's the second part. When you're there, it's great to go. It's great to laugh and joke, but you're there to sit here and network with people, get to know folks, right?
Which, I want to stop you right there.
Okay.
Because that could be terrifying for some people. Now, look, you're an extroverted person. You're outgoing, right?
Right.
You may not be outgoing. So, when I would do this, I was extremely introverted. So I would go in the room and I would be the most unassuming individual there because I'm in the back, right? Or I'm in the middle, or maybe I'm up front and I'm not saying it, or I'm not going in and talking to anyone. It wasn't until I started to recognize that that was my personality and then go against it and force, and I even used to act, right? So growing up in Connecticut, going to New York a lot, I would say, look, if I was a New Yorker would have no problem going. So I would act like I was this New Yorker who was so open. So you have to put yourself in these positions sometimes to get out of a comfort zone that you're in, right? You're getting uncomfortable with being comfortable. And then what happens is repetition, right, is the mother of skill. So the more that you do this, the better that you get at it. And before you know it, you become this person that's an ambivert, right? So an ambivert could be an extrovert, but they also can be an introvert when needed, right? You could be an extrovert when needed, and then you could be your introverted self when needed as well. So you go out, you make the connections, and then you talk to 3 or 4 people. You go back to your hotel room, you get back in your car, right? You do what you need to do. And then you continue to repeat that cycle. You go back to the next event, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Event. You now, instead of talking to 3 people, maybe you ratchet it up a little bit. You talk to 4 or 5 people, and you continue that, and you get used to it. And before you know it, they can't shut you up, right? Because you're talking. So now networking, super big, right?
Super big.
important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super important. And the reason why it's important is because, look, you don't know everything.
Yep.
And there are so many people that's doing so many cool things, and also ahead of you. So they have been where you are, and they can give you some pointers, some directions, and willing, because of 2 reasons. One, someone did it for them.
Yep.
And 2.
Well, maybe someone didn't do it for them.
Or I'm about to say.
And it was hard.
2, someone didn't do it for them, and they wish someone did. So they're individual that's going to do it for you, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because they don't want to see you go through that hardship
when you don't have to. So I would tell people to basically, that's where you start. You need to change your environment. And I always tell people, I even tell the youth this, I tell them, look, at one time I used to talk to my friends and family from the neighborhood this much. I mean, this is who I text, this is who I called, this is who I hung out with. But then when I realized what I wanted to do, I didn't stop talking to them. It just went from this much to this much. And this now became being around the individuals that were doing the things I wanted to do, and start to involve myself with them more and talk to them more, because that's my goals, that's where I want to go, that's what I want to do. And you have to change your environment. And when you change your environment, change the people you're around, your conversation starts to change, your mindset starts to change, you start to learn much more within that niche that you're looking to do, all due to just changing the environment. Now, look, I'm saying it like it's a simple thing, right? Go out and change your environment. stop talking to your cousin that you talk to
Yep.
every single day, 5 days a week.
Yep.
I'm not saying that it's easy, but what I am saying is it must be done. For you to sit there and actually have some growth in what you want to do. And people are going to sit there and call you funny and
Say you've changed.
say you changed.
You're different.
And can I share, Jay-Z have this line. We all know Jay-Z, right?
I was just thinking about that line. Yep.
So, he has this line which I always enjoy. So he says something like this. I might paraphrase it. He says, I had a plan before you knew what a plan was.
Right.
300 million later, now you understand us.
Yep.
And what he's saying is you didn't understand my plan
Right.
when there was no accolades behind it.
Correct. Yep.
But now, and that's what's going to happen for you, is that when you share your plan with people going to sit there and say, oh, why would you want to do that? And that can't work because of their limited beliefs, right? But then, once you execute, everybody going to come back and want to know, going to want to sit here and say, how can we help? Or how can I get down, right?
Or can you show me?
Can you show
Right,
me?
show me.
right?
Yep.
So and that's just happens. It's going to, we just letting you know that potentially will happen, because what you say probably happen 9 out of every 10 people, you would say?
9 out of 10. And the longer the person has known you, the more of an individual has known you, right? The closer that relationship, the more likely it is to happen. So what's going to happen is it's a test, right? It is a form of resistance. Stephen Pressfield, he talks about resistance in his book, The War of Art. And resistance is basically the thing that we most want to do is like our North Star. Like the thing that we think about, the thing that is pulling in us, the thing that we just imagine what life would be like if we just had the nerve, the guts, the desire, right? The discipline to go in and do that. He says that's our North Star. That's the thing that is really calling us. But at the same time, it's also the thing that's the most scary to us. It's also the thing that we doubt ourselves the most on. It's the thing that we might overthink, overplan, right? But it's the thing that we have to do. So he says we'll have that resistance, and resistance to doing that thing can come in the form of people saying you changed. People say, I remember, having some very close friends, and I was in this transitional period, right? And I one of my best friends, this guy's name was Charlie Brown. He looked at me and said, Ty, man, you're not the same anymore. You don't want to hang out anymore, man. You don't want to do any of the stuff that we used to do. And in my head, I kind of felt a little bit guilty because he was right.
Right.
I was changing. Started to develop a family, met my wife, started to see the direction that I wanted to go in, and it was far from the direction that I had been in before. So you're going to have this level of guilt, and it's going to be this level of understanding, and you just have to be strong enough to say yes. Jay-Z has another line. He says, people will look at me strange and say I've changed, as if I've worked this hard to remain the same.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, I know that line.
Right? So it's just that. Now, that doesn't mean that these people don't love you. What it does mean is they've known you and they have been around you so much that they can see these changes, and they know that if this person can change, so can they.
Yep.
And just as it's scary for us to embrace change, it's scary for them.
Wow.
So they're experiencing resistance as well.
Yeah.
So we talked about change. We talk about, just being able to go in and have a mindset to do what it is that you want to do. One of the number one things that people outside of resistance and the belief is finding something that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So how does someone go in and find like this thing that they're passionate about when they still have bills that need to be paid? When they have a spouse or significant that may not be passionate in the thing.
Yes.
And that's a form of resistance.
Yes.
Right? Because they may not believe in you yet. Because again, just going back to the Jay-Z line, nothing's materialized. It's just a thought. We're talking about it. Right? So how do you go in and find your passion when you have all of these things that are pushing against it, but you know that there's something for you?
truth be told, is no one way, right? Let's just make sure that's clear, right? However, just to address some things on it, your passion and your gift is your passion and your gift. It's not Ty's. So my passion and my gift is not Ty's, and Ty's passion and his gift is not mine.
Right.
Now we might share some relatable things there, which is great when we do, but it's not. And I think that needs to be clear, because you spoke about spouse might not be on board, right?
When I'm teaching people, two of the biggest things that I get that hold people back are either they're too damn smart, meaning they've got the PhDs, they've got the masters, they've got the double masters, right? And that's a whole nother conversation, because they're used to doing things one way. Or they're fearful of how their spouse or their significant is going to take it, not take it. So.
Well, I think that's a challenge. That's not easy. That's a let me say something. So people watch your character.
Right.
People watch what you do. And I'm saying that because if you're an individual that come out and say, hey, today I want to open up a phone company. Right? And you're doing the things to open up this phone company, and then 6 months later you say, you know what? I want to start a clothing company.
Right.
And then you go on starting a clothing company. Then a year later you say, you know what? I want to get this Kindle and start writing books on Kindle, right? Well, guess what?
Then you want to start a toy company, 6 months after that.
Right. Your spouse sees that.
Yep.
And they're going to now label you with the crazy ideas. Here
Mr.
you go
6
again.
months.
With the Mr.
right. 6 months out, right? But here's the cool thing about it is, right? I know you're going to, they'll get excited the first 2, 3, 4, 5 times. They're supporting you. Oh, baby, you could do it. Yes, I think that'll be. And sometimes they may not. Right? Because I have a lot of students whose spouses don't. But sometimes they may be excited about it.
Yeah.
And because you're excited, and they're feeding, Les Brown says, look, people will feed off of your level of excitement, so you have to have a certain level of excitement. But then they'll also feed off of because what happens is you start to have this disdain for this thing that was there, and then now you got the excitement for the second thing.
Yeah. And they lose that you're going to actually do it.
Yeah, the belief that you're going to.
So when you do something, you want to see something come to fruition.
Yep.
And maybe it might be a reason why you stepped away from it. But what happens is your spouse, your friends, or whoever, they actually going to say, man, when he or she put their mind to this, they actually go out and get it done, and they see that. And I think that is important to tell people that. And that's, you got a line where you say the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I teach the kids that, so hopefully I'll pay you no royalties.
I saw, man, that's one of your testimonials. I'm like, I need a steak dinner or something.
Hopefully I won't get no royalties on that, right? But truth be told is, if you have a track record where you executing with everything in your life. So for example, if the goal was to I'm not gonna say remodel, refresh the bathroom, which means that maybe as a man you have to go and hang some things up with some drills or something, or take some things, maybe clean up some of the walls or something, you know what I mean, with some spackle because you're hanging new things down. You need to go in and execute on that. Now, you might say, what does that mean? Well, what it does is it shows some type of confidence that when we agree that something needs to get done and you say, hey, I'm going to do it, it gets done. And don't minimize those small things. So when that big thing come up, which is that idea of you saying, I think I got an idea and I think I want to do it, they will be so much on board, even though, when I say on board, they don't have to be on board as in, what do you need me to do to help you out? Okay? But they'll be on board saying, honey, I think that you should do that. And they might even say, now, honey, this is on you, you know, but whatever you need from me, if you need me to watch the kids extra or something like that, then I can do something like that. Because they know those little things that you have done.
Yep. You're more likely to go
You're
and
more
follow
likely
through.
to follow through on it.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people devalue that time.
They 100% do, man. As you were talking, my wife had said something to me. She kind of says it in a joking way. Sometimes she'll say it in a serious way, where I used to have projects around the house that would never get done. I would go to Home Depot or say so, right? And I'm buying a light switch, right?
Yeah.
Just to give you a visual. I'm buying a light switch, and we're at Home Depot, and I'm like, boom, this thing's gonna look fantastic. I get back home, I put the light switch on the shelf, and it sits there now for 3 months. Sits there for 6 months, right? So that has been what she's known me as. And now since she brought it to my attention, now I don't buy the damn light switch. No, in all seriousness, now I go buy the light switch, and I'm immediately going in and putting it into place because I want to reframe the way that she thinks of me as far as the action taking. Now, if I come to her with a business idea, she has no doubt at all.
Yeah.
Because I'll come in and I'll say, hey, Mel, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but this is what we're going to do. Because I've proven to her so many times in that sense as well, right? Even when it didn't seem possible. So I love that idea of going in and making sure that you're training, and that may not be the best word, but it is what we're doing. We're actually training. We were having a great conversation about that. It's training people.
Conditioning.
It's conditioning people, conditioning people to expect certain things from you, good or bad.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And I think that's important, and I think people need to put value in that.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the individuals who, was able to become successful, and I think another thing you mentioned just about time, right? Look, it's 24 hours, period. I get it, right? There's some people who got more kids than others. There's some people who got more responsibility than others, right? But something you told me, which always stuck with me. Hopefully, I don't got no royalties. Damn, I might get a lot of royalties.
Hey man, I might have to.
I might got to keep you out of my program.
Get my damn pen. Get my pen ready. We'll take the check also. Yep. Okay.
So
this is our server right here. We had the best server ever. Boom. That chicken and the eggs. All right.
Thank you. This is here whenever you guys are ready.
Okay,
All right.
cool.
Thank you.
so much.
All right.
Yep. So, is the compound of time.
Yes. Yep.
So a lot of people might sit back and say, oh, I only did 30 minutes today,
Yep.
right? Because you're so nearsighted, only seeing 30 minutes. But if you say, I did, let's say an hour, because that's easy, right? Easy math. So you say, I did an hour today. Oh man, I only did an hour. Like, what am I supposed to do? But if you do an hour every day,
Yep.
that's 7 hours you have done on your business. Then if you compound that over 2 weeks, that's 14 hours you have done. If you compound that over 3 weeks, that's 21 hours. And I think people don't realize the compound of, and you used the word consistency.
Commitment and consistency.
Commitment and consistency is where it's going to be. Commitment, consistency, and the plan, boom.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Yep, 100%. And so all of this stuff is stuff that's been around forever.
Yes.
Right? Compounding. The compounding effect of investing time in. I tell people either 5 minutes, right? We may not all have an hour, we may not all have 2 hours, but we all have 5 minutes that we can put into our business, our spouse, whatever it might be, that thing. And if you're serious about it, you'll find 5 minutes. Now, there's going to be some days where you have 5 hours that you can put into that thing, right? There's going to be days where you might not be feeling well. You might be. When I discovered this, whether I was sick, in a hospital, whether it was a holiday, whether I had to work, whether my children had, one of them had a basketball game, one had a football game, I always would put in this 5 to this day, 5 minutes at least, right, and something. So I think it's as important as that too, making sure that you're totally dedicated to the craft and being someone that's dedicated to the craft, whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
one of the last things I want to talk about is, so we talked about the passions. We talked about the belief. We talked about how does someone go in and learn something that's brand new.
Okay.
For you, what you're doing now is brand new. Going into schools, developing the relationships, right? Now, I want to talk about how
Yes.
I think this is possible to a degree.
Okay.
We all have skills that are transferable.
Yes.
So meaning,
Yes.
you may have had a job at one place, and there's
Mm-hmm.
certain aspects of your job, things that you've done that are transferable that you could bring over into your business.
Correct.
And apply them there. And I think that the older you are, the more transferable skills you have. Whether it's, you might have been a homemaker, you've got these skills of dealing with the house, maybe handling the children, maybe handling your husband, right? You've got skills that allow you to do a lot with a little. Right, you might have a little bit of money
Yeah.
that's coming
No, this-
in, and
this-
you're able to be super resourceful with it,
Brother, let me tell you.
right?
For a long period of time working at this organization,
Yep.
I thought that I was really great at this organization. That was it. So outside of that door, I didn't believe that my skills could be used doing anything else, because I thought that, wow, I'm great with managing people. I'm great with talking to clients. I'm great with resolving problems. I'm great at all these things.
But only within these
But
walls.
only within these walls.
Gotcha, okay.
And
Yeah.
that was me
Yeah.
thinking that. And I never knew. Listen, it
Yeah.
probably was like 10 years in. That's a long time. Until I realized, what I'm doing right now
Yeah.
can be transferable, like you said, to other things in my life, right? And when I realized that, that's when I think the spark opened up.
Wow. Okay.
And now I didn't walk all the way through the door, let me just be brutally honest, but the door peeked open and I'm like looking, you know how you got that peephole and you kind of look at your eye through that peephole, you trying to see what's going on. That's what happened to me.
So you got a little bit more confidence.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. And then obviously
Gotcha.
that door started to open up a little more. You
Yeah.
go from this eye to both eyes to your
Yeah.
head in. Next thing you know, your body in, and you're walking in, and now you're walking, you're looking around. You're like,
Now
oh,
you're opening that door with
yeah,
confidence,
right.
and you're walking
yeah.
through it.
And
Okay,
then
boom, boom.
once
Yep.
you get through a certain step, you call the other people in. Hey man, brother, this door is all right. Come on in. I'll be here with you. Come on, I'll walk you through. You know, but just like you said, man, those skills,
Yeah.
like a job, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I teach the kids it's okay to make wages and turn your wages into profits. Okay?
You're gonna owe Jim Rohn up for that one.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know. But, you know, I'ma tell you,
Okay.
you gotta sit here and not let that job put blinders on you.
Yeah.
And think that you are only great for there, because the one thing Jim Rohn does says is when you go to work, you're supposed to go to work and work on yourself, because you are the value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you realize that you are the value and this is not just skills that you have here, this is just skills that you have in general, you know, that's when for me, I know I spoke to a lot of people, other people as well, where you start to have these aha moment, and you start to have, like you said, confidence to actually go and do other things that you know, gonna make you fulfilled.
Yeah,
Now,
that's beautiful.
you mentioned about being green, right? So my background is operations, right? Medical billing, you know, and I'm now into education, right?
Two
And
totally different industries.
I don't think we talk about apples and oranges. I think we're talking about vegetables and fruit.
And fruit,
You know what I
right.
mean? So this
Yeah.
is totally different for me. So I'm starting from the ground up. But what I knew, one thing was I needed youth.
Right.
Period. I need the kids. I have information. I need the kids.
okay.
You know, and that's where it all started. And I'm gonna tell you, you know where it all started, Ty? Eventbrite.com.
So just going to events. I'm gonna pay for this line real quick. Hey, here's a quick tip. I'm gonna share this with you guys.
Hey, we're gonna
All
leave
right?
a good tip for this girl.
Yeah, we'll
'cause
leave a
we
great
done
tip to her.
sat here
Right.
for our table.
So whenever you're going out, let's say you got a group and you're going out with people, right? And this guy, what is that? What the hell is? Oh,
Keep
okay.
going.
And then you gotta be out for a day, be an entire day. You got breakfast, you got lunch, you got dinner. Be sure to always pay for breakfast first or lunch. Be the first one, because what happens is if you go and you pay for breakfast, then the next person's gonna reciprocate and they pay for lunch. Or if you pay for lunch, the next person's gonna feel inclined to reciprocate and pay for dinner, which is almost always going to be more expensive. So I got breakfast right now.
This guy's hilarious, right?
All right, so look,
so-
we're having some fun, man. But go ahead.
So being green,
Yep.
your passion, green, totally don't know anything about it.
Yep.
So, what I did was I went on eventbrite.com, right? This is going to be a funny story time. I saw something on there that said economics, right? Now,
Okay.
this had zero to do with kids, zero to do with school. It had everything to do with economics for my township. Right? So
Oh, wow, okay.
all I thought was, hey, that's money.
Yep.
That's money, right? So I went. And obviously there was like officials there from the township.
Correct. Right.
So I was there sitting and listening to what they was planning to do with the next upcoming month or so. And at the end, they liked who I was and basically kind of asked me what I'm doing. I told them. And just from there, like I tell you, once again, I went to an economic meeting that had to do with nothing to do with schools, nothing to do with, it had everything to do with what they plan to do in the local community.
Yep.
They said, oh, I belong to this group. We having a meeting at this time. Come as my guest. So because these paid groups, but they can invite guests to come. So I got the 3 of them. I went to 3 of them, and guess what?
Was this from this one event?
One
Gotcha, okay.
one economic meeting. Once again, had zero to. Now I'm not going to say it's going to happen for you, but the point I'm making is that I went out, I got into a room, I told people what I wanted to do, and they started to say, I think we can help.
Yeah.
And they invited me to these other groups where they were. That's where I met some school teachers. That's where I met people who know some administrators in schools, and that's how I started to get out. And then now that's where the learning process. Once again, I'm a brutally honest guy, so I tell people I'm new, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people my background.
So you're not going out faking the funk,
No,
right?
no.
Right? And just
No, that's not my style, right?
And you get yourself in trouble when you're doing that.
I mean, that's not
Because
my
now
style.
you open up your mouth and there's this expectation. You start telling people I'm a big deal.
Right.
This is the inside joke, right? You start telling people I'm a big deal, and they're expecting big deal things from you.
Correct.
But when you're brutally transparent
Yeah.
and you're like, look, I'm new at this thing as Lenny did.
But see, I'm confident within myself.
Right.
So with that being said, everybody at some time was new. So, for me, I'm thinking in my head, you were new at some time, and you only knew but so much information.
Yes.
So, but everybody loved what I was doing, loved my mission. I mean, loved me so much that I got recognized for it, right? So with that being said, I got introduced to people who were my target audience.
Okay.
And by that, obviously, I started to learn. I'm still learning too, man. Like, it didn't stop. I'm in transition right now from my messaging.
Wow.
So my messaging was all about, I got these 4 pillars and this, that, and other thing, which they love.
Yeah.
But now my messaging changes to, what are your core issues?
Thank you so much. Of
Have a good
course.
one.
You too. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. What are your core issues? And I'm gonna tell you how my program can solve it.
Okay.
So
now you fit in more slots.
Yes.
Yes. Gotcha.
So
Smart.
and once again, that's learning.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at first,
Yeah.
but I guess Jim Rohn gonna kill me for this. We're gonna build me for this one too, right? Listen, you do not have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
It'd be great, yeah.
And that's the thing. Is that, look, I'm not great. I'm great in the classroom, which is my zone of genius. I'm great with teaching the youth. But the part of getting the business, right, of understanding the messaging, the lingo, what the do's and what you can't do and all that good stuff, I had to learn that.
All of the normalcies and
But there's only one way to learn it, Ty.
there's a jump
Is
in.
on the job learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
You know what the ancestors used to say, man, and it's as simple as closed mouths don't get fed.
Oh, wow.
Right? So you going to this event and you putting out what it is that you do,
Yep.
even though it wasn't an event that technically someone would say you fit at,
correct.
right? You just going in there. Now that could have just been practice. I talked about if you're this introverted person or if you're someone who's not used to doing this stuff, just going out and putting yourself in a situation. And you'll be amazed that once you say, look, this is what I want to do, the universe, God, whatever, starts to make things move and happen. They say, oh, Lenny says he wants to do this.
Yep.
Let's start helping him out.
Yes.
People will start wanting to help you out, right? People, you're watching this thing, you might know someone, you might know a resource, you might be an educator, you might be someone in a position, and just because you're now aware of what he's doing, you might reach out. Speaking of reaching out, before we close out, how do people reach out to you?
Oh, you know what, man? Just send me an email, right? Send me an email at Leonard, Leonard, at kidsrealestateacademy.com. Once again, that's Leonard at kidsrealestateacademy.com, or you go to my website, which is kidsrealestateacademy.com.
Okay. What platform on social media do you most enjoy?
I enjoy Facebook, but I'm also on LinkedIn.
Gotcha.
I'm also on IG, of course. You know, so feel free to look up Lenny the Boss. That's Lenny, the THE Boss, BOSS. Lenny the Boss on any website, and Leonard Nesmith probably on the LinkedIn, and you should be able to find me.
Got it. Okay. Look, one last question I want to propose to you is the individual, this person that's watching this thing right now, they're inspired by your story. I'm inspired by your story. Kid coming from North Philly, grew up in a very impoverished area. I used to be scared as I come from the hood, right? But you know, I went to North Philly for a summer, and you know, my cousin Harry, shout out to Harry over here. He had me scared to death in North Philly. But look, you come from North Philly. You have worked in this one position for almost 2 decades.
Yep.
Right? You then transitioned into something totally different. Like you said, it's fruits to vegetables, so
Yes.
nowhere near similar industries.
No.
And you're still making it happen. You're having fun.
Absolutely.
Because I see what the hell is going on your Facebook profile, and I follow you. I made a joke to Lenny the other day. I said, I know everything that's going on in your life just by scrolling down your Facebook timeline. And man, most importantly though, you are making an impact on people's lives, and I think that we all have that ability to make an impact on someone's life, and you are doing it. You're rocking it. You have the ability to make an impact on the lives of many individuals. And there's just one question, like, the question is asking yourself, who needs you to win so bad that you get over your fear of not thinking that you're qualified, not thinking that you have what it is, not thinking that you're too young, not thinking that you're too inexperienced, whatever your race may be, not thinking that that's why, not thinking because you don't have the money or whatever it might be. Who in your life needed you to make this happen so much so that you're out here making it happen?
Cool. Great question. One, I have an 86-year-old mother. And when I was younger, you know, she did things that I didn't know she was doing. So it helped me from not, I'm going to say maybe selling drugs or anything like that. You know, she made sure that I had Jordans on my feet. That was real big back then. Still big now, but still really big back then. She made sure that when everybody, all the fellas going to the movies from neighborhood, that I had some money to go to the movies. Right. Now, one thing I didn't know at the time was my mother wasn't paying her electric bill. My mother
Wow.
wasn't paying her light bill
Yep.
at the time, right? I didn't know. All I knew is, hey, got these Jordans on my feet, bang, we
I'm
going
good.
to the movies, let's go.
Right.
You know, so as I grew up, I realized. So I said, man, I have the opportunity now to sit here and actually, you know, show my mother some things she couldn't show herself.
Right.
You know, due to her being selfish and ensuring that which I didn't need a pair of Jordans, right? Like I didn't, right? Well, that's not a necessity.
Right.
But she made sure that I did. So, you know, obviously I take her everywhere over the world, right? You know, visit so many different places. I'm the one to take her to a doctor, even though I got 9 brothers and sisters and they take care of my mom as well, so I don't want to sit here and not give them credit, but you know, I'm always first to do for my mom. So my mother is one passion of mine, and then I have a son, you know, where I just want to make sure that, you know, whatever he wants to do, that we can do it, you know, and that's important for me. It's important because I didn't have a father in my life. You know, unfortunately, my father got hooked on drugs when I was born, and he wasn't there. So for me,
Another excuse for you not to be able to do the things that you are doing.
Correct. So for me, is that. And I got a beautiful wife, man, you know, and look, I'm gonna tell you, there's so many people who look better than me. There's so many people who's cooler than me. You know, so I gotta sit here, hold my weight to make sure that, you know, she loves me as much as she can every day.
Absolutely.
You know, and I also enjoy my time with her. I enjoy spending time with her, you know, and I enjoy doing some of things that kind of regular people don't do, you know, and, you know, I look at my son and I say, man, you know, I look at his passport, I see how many stamps he got in his passport, and I talk to some people and they haven't even been out the country yet, and my son's only 12. You know, and that's just something to be grateful for. Not that I'm striving that, oh, we got to go here, got to there, but this is just some of the things that I like to sit here and provide because, as you are aware, showing kids more than what they can see, you know, is opening their mind to much more opportunity, you know, and being a much more well-rounded individual, you know, than both of us. Or someone who was in a box, because that's where most of our friends are from, right? In a box, you know, that can be. So those are the individuals that really matters to me, my mother, and my family to do well. So
Perfect, very cool. All right, so your mom, your son, your beautiful wife, Jeannie. Look, guys, think about this and from the standpoint of, again, why must you make this happen, whatever it is? And it doesn't have to be something that you think is huge, right? It doesn't have to be life-changing, or it could be life-changing. I think the bigger the goal, the more of a chance that you are going to have of doing something extremely significant, right? Something small is only going to get you small results, but if you think big, you're going to get much bigger results. So go out and do it, and let us know what you thought of Lenny the Boss's interview here, all right? And we'll see you on the next one.
boom.
All right? Boom. This is good, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.